Academic ROI and its Impact on Instructional Design, created and presented by Danette Green. First of all, what is ROI? Simply, it means return on investment, and that means different things in different sectors. For instance, the corporate sector, it's just what it says. It's return on whatever monies were invested, and then they find out, did they get a profit, did they get a loss, what type of return did they get from the money spent. Education is also about monies being spent, but it's used primarily to evaluate how good a course is, and that's not the best way to evaluate it, because in education, you are concerned as to whether or not the students are getting a good education, which means they're going to be able to succeed in the real world. Have they grown by going to certain courses? Have they matured? There's a whole different set of criteria that need to be met for a successful evaluation that is not contained in the ROI. As previously stated, academic ROI establishes somewhat different criteria than its business counterpart. In order to evaluate the success or failure of a department, they need to see how well the students are doing. Also, they need to take in consideration how the staff, the teachers, etc., are faring. ROI is simple math. You talk about increasing in student learning times the number of students that were helped and divide that by money spent. The product of these three items is the ROI. So this is how they compute it. But the bottom line is still about money. Was the money well spent? And were all the goals met? In the educational sector, return on investment in the education field should focus on student satisfaction, increased enrollment, increased support from donors and alumni, new and updated facilities, students who can successfully compete in the real world, viable use of new and emerging technologies, and, of course, new and engaging courses. Administrators and department chairs focus on choosing the best way to deliver training that will provide motivated and knowledgeable staff after having attended the training, motivated and engaged students who will be as a result of having gone to certain classes and courses, and the most efficient way to meet these goals. This is all to be done without much money to do so. So the financial bottom line is not very good. With very limited resources, schools are forced to use what actually becomes a very imprecise approach to reaching those goals, because they don't have all the tools necessary to make decisions that can be supported by the financial arena. And then they pray that they pick the right programs, and usually the right program is one that they feel is the least expensive. So, how can you improve the success rate? Well, in the meantime, what a lot of schools and enterprises do, the universities, etc., they engage instructional designers who are expected to design great and deliver fantastic programs that meet the goals based on a not-so-sound logic and with few resources for them to work with. And this is because this is the fate of education. And unfortunately, that's been the way it's been, and for most part, that's the way it is. Budgets keep getting shrunk, and educational enterprises wind up carrying the brunt of the loss of monies. There are those who have come up with different ways of handling the problem. Stephen and Hovey proposed the following. It's called System Strategy, ROI, and it has 5 key steps. To be considered by the administrators or the decision makers, they have to identify the core need and ask what fundamental student performance are needed, and are they focusing on those? What's their theory of change for addressing it? Secondly, they have to consider a broad range of investment options. What are the investments that they're currently using, and are they making, is this a good decision to make address the needs that are needed, and what else could they do differently? Define ROI metrics and gather data. So they have to know what are the relative returns, costs weighed against benefits, to the set of current potential options. And some of those options may not even be in their particular tool belt. They may not have to use them or consider them. So it's good for them to check out what other schools, districts, universities, etc. are doing if they are successful in a similar endeavor. Weigh investment options. What other factors do they need to consider in order to select from among those options? And to make investment decisions, they want to know how can free resources to do what they need to have done. Ultimately, with these 5, there's different ways of approaching them, but the most important question at the end of the day is how can they use all of the limited resources strategically to improve students' achievements and meet their goals? To rectify the problem, a lot of instructional designers may suggest increasing budget allotments to reach those goals, a request that's usually denied. Another major stumbling block is timing. Most programs are researched and contracted after the budget has been drawn up and it's too late to acquire what is actually needed to conduct the program efficiently. So instructional designers are then brought in to act as genies or magicians to miraculously make the program work the way it's supposed to. Academic ROI is that a means to an end or an end of a means. So, after defining the rate of success by using the ROI, how are they going to achieve it? Which programs are effective? Which ones are most cost effective? And does it provide the best bang for the buck? Therefore, many instructional designers have begun suggesting online courses as a panacea. That's because benefits of online courses are they are cost effective. They save time and money for the institution. You don't have to pull teachers or the staff out to attend a training. Flexible because learners will be able to access the course on their own time. Flexible as they can be upgraded to accommodate the target audience while it's still being trialed out. So, ultimately, using ROI as the full evaluation of how successful is an educational program doesn't seem to be a good idea. It seems to be counterintuitive to developing good and effective courses. So, I thank you for watching. I hope you found this worthwhile, and here are the resources I used. I hope you have a very nice day, and again, thank you for watching.